Welcome to Please Me, the award-winning sexuality podcast bringing you bold conversations and big clit energy. I'm Eve, your host, and I'm thrilled to announce that Please Me is now the #1 sexuality podcast in the USA and worldwide. This show is all about reclaiming pleasure and rewriting my narrative from trauma to sexual liberation. Join me and my guests as we dive into conversations around orgasm equality, self-love, body positivity, and essential sex education. Let's reclaim pleasure and close the orgasm gap, one empowering conversation at a time. Did you miss last week's episode on kitchen table polyamory? Get a glimpse into the lives of two couples who chose to build a family together, expanding love, intimacy, and pleasure under one roof. It's an eye-opening look at love, jealousy, and radical connection. Tune in now if you haven't. I've got a webinar coming up and you're invited. It's called Let's Talk Length, Girth, and Health, a no BS Q&A for men. If this topic speaks to you, check the show notes for a code to get a free trial membership to SDC.com, the world's leading site for ethically non-monogamous dating and sex education. A huge thank you to everyone who's rated, reviewed, and shared Please Me. Because of you, we're now the #1 sexuality podcast in the USA and around the globe. Your support means the world and continues to amplify these essential conversations around pleasure, healing, and empowerment. Keep the love coming, leave a review, share your favorite episode, and help us reach even more listeners around the globe. Prefer to read? Subscribe to my newsletter on Substack for exclusive updates and more Please Me related news. I fund though completely myself, and every new Patreon subscriber literally helps keep it alive and growing. I'm putting everything I've got into making this show. If you've ever thought of supporting the show, now's the time to join me on Patreon for ad-free episodes and early releases, and my eternal gratitude for your support. Please Me is for mature audiences. Sit back, relax, and surrender to the pleasure of Please Me.
It's really when it comes to health, especially erection health, you want to get to the root cause of the problem. So erectile dysfunction can be caused by venous leak, which is just muscle atrophy. It can be caused by blood flow issues, which acoustic wave can help, right? Or penis pump. It can be caused by hormonal issues, right? Like lack of testosterone. It can be so many different things. And by going to a urologist and getting pill prescribed,
ASN Lifestyle Magazine is your go-to source for sex-positive, sophisticated content covering everything from the swinger lifestyle and adult entertainment to intimacy, wellness, and more. You can read every digital issue for free, and subscribers get access to exclusive content. See the show notes for the link to subscribe and check out their Instagram. I'm excited to share that I now have a monthly column in ASN called Big Clit Energy, a Please Me series. Don't miss it and subscribe today. Hello and welcome to Please Me, the podcast that aims to destigmatize conversations about sex and sexual health by turning the sheets into our classroom. Today, I'm so excited to welcome Sam Itchaki to the show, and he is the creator of Mr. Get Bigger Now, which is a bold, no BS brand helping men reclaim their power naturally, which I completely appreciate. He believes that men's confidence starts below the belt. So with that being said, I'm going to let you get into the details of that. Welcome to Please Me. How are you today?
Good. How are you, Eve?
I'm doing great. I'm doing good. I'm really excited about this episode because I have so many questions to ask you. And so we're going to get right into it. I just want to know what made you start this brand, going from, somebody that maybe was frustrated looking for answers in, the medical industry or the enhancement industry, and what made you begin to change that frustration into becoming the CEO of this brand?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me. So I started as a frustrated customer. I tried many different pumps, and that's a whole story by itself. But I eventually became the CEO of the Dr. Joel Kaplan Company, which is a medical device manufacturer. So we manufacture things like penis pumps, extenders, or stretchers. or we have natural supplements, things like that. Anything to really improve erection health. So anything to increase blood flow, for example. Um, and what made me want to create Mr. Get Bigger Now is that there are a lot of misconceptions out there about erection health. And I just don't see doctors doing a good job explaining things or even recommending the right things. Just as an example, as part of being the CEO of the Dr. Joel Kaplan Company, I go to medical conferences. And so I've spoken with many urologists, and I've learned that they have basically standard operating procedure when it comes to treating erectile dysfunction, right? They have three treatments. One would be pills, which they are so quick to prescribe. I don't get it, and I don't think it's good either. Especially not for the younger crowd who, they don't have a physical issue. Um, the second being an injection that someone has to inject themselves every time when they want to get an erection, and the third being a very, very invasive procedure or surgery where they basically insert an inflatable device into the penis. And so those three solutions are the solutions that are covered by insurance. And so that's the only solutions that doctors have to offer. And there are so many other better, non-invasive, non-pharmaceutical solutions out there. And I think people deserve to know those solutions.
100%. And the pills are can give you a heart attack, right? Because they cause
Yeah.
your heart to speed up. And if you have a heart condition, oftentimes erectile dysfunction is a precursor to heart disease. So you may already have the beginnings of heart disease or full-blown heart disease if you're having erectile dysfunction for many years. And instead of giving you the pill, they should be sending you to your cardiologist, right? But people want what they want, and so the doctors are prescribing this medication without looking at the whole picture and the whole picture of wellness. And so I appreciate that you say that. And absolutely, like having something injected into your penis, I can see could be appropriate for a porn star who needs to keep their penis hard for an extended period of time. But if this is what you're doing every time you're having sex, that is not a great go-to. It's just completely invasive. It's also dangerous because the penis can stay hard for too long, and then it could possibly need to be drained if you don't have the proper medication to bring it down. So that is a whole nother thing that we actually talked about on another show.
It also causes scarring tissue, which
Yes.
can cause curvature, for example. So the injection you take every time you need an erection is not a good one.
No, absolutely not. And, obviously surgical procedures are like very last, you know, hope type of situations. You don't want to have a surgical procedure unless you've exhausted all of the opportunities to, get better in a different, more holistic, natural way. And this is what you're talking about here. So I want to, ask you what specific things can men do to help themselves and enhance their sexuality and their size and their performance, naturally?
Sure, yeah. So there are many solutions out there. I've tried so many male enhancement devices and supplements and things like that. Um, the number one recommendation I have to people is to use a penis pump. If someone just wants size, for example, just length, I would say go with an extender or a stretcher because it works very quickly. But when it comes to erections, I think it's best to look at it from a holistic perspective, right? Doctors look at erectile dysfunction as something that's like an on and off switch. You either have a problem or you don't, right? And I just don't think this is the right way to look at things. I think in our 20s, men have great erections. Like the wind blows the wrong way and you get an erection, right? Um, and by the time we're 50, half the men report some form of erectile dysfunction. So that means any man on the planet, just think of, your best two friends, one of them probably has erectile dysfunction, and men don't know that. And so I think there are the way to look at it is it's like a spectrum, right? We go from having great erections when we're young to slowly having not so great erections, right? I'm not even talking about someone who can get up. I'm talking about someone who's, let's say, in their 30s or 40s. If you ask them, they'll probably say, I don't have erectile dysfunction. But instead, ask them, how would you compare your current erection to when you were 20? And they always, always say it's not the same because that's how it works. That's part of aging. And as far as what men can do, like I said, there are so many solutions out there. Penis pumps are amazing tool. So they were originally invented to treat erectile dysfunction. So it's very proven. It's FDA cleared to treat erectile dysfunction because it's considered safe and effective, right? They've existed way before pills existed, like Viagra and Cialis. So it's a proven technology. What most people don't know is that if you use it regularly, like an exercise thing, like going to the gym, right? If you use it a few times a week for a few weeks or a few months, you start seeing like real results, like anti-aging results. You reverse atrophy. You increase your blood carrying capacity to the penis, and you actually increase in size, especially girth. Girth happen. You get increase in girth so quickly within just a few weeks. And so I see people chasing girth by, let's say, using fillers or chasing length by using Botox on the penis. It's like, really? There is an invasive procedure where doctors actually cut open the penis and lengthen it. And the potential side effects are crazy. Like you can actually lose your penis. And for what? To gain half an inch? Like, is it really worth it? Especially knowing that you can get the same thing with, let's say, an extender or a penis pump. And so there are plenty of good solutions out there. I would say if someone wants to get all of those good benefits, start with a penis pump because it just brings blood flow to the penis. And when you use it regularly, you get a lot of amazing anti-aging benefits.
I love this recommendation, and it is part of my protocol. I'm a physical therapist, and I
Right.
treat sexual health conditions. And one of the treatments that I do is acoustic wave therapy. And one of
Nice.
the things as part of my protocol is for my patients to get a penis pump, and I give them homework to do it every single day. You don't have to do it for extended periods, just 10 minutes a
Right.
day, but
Mhm.
bringing that blood flow, like extra blood flow to the area, because the pump actually kind of does like a sucking action, and it pulls blood and holds it in the penis. And so you're really helping your body to really bring that blood flow and hold it there. And a lot of times, like you mentioned, men in their 20s are going to have erections that last for a long time, right? But then as time goes on, a lot of times I'll have patients come to me and say, oh, well, I can get it up. It just doesn't stay hard very long, right? And so that gradual decrease in being able to hold the penis in the blood in the penis may diminish over time. And so this is another reason why the penis pump is a great tool for that. And you mentioned that men in their 20s have great erections, but already in many men in their 20s, or around 20% of men in their 20s already start to have decreases in function, and it goes up 10% per decade. So yes, 50% of men in their 50s have some form of erectile dysfunction, and
Yeah.
it goes up and up and up, right? And so it's so important for men to be thinking about this and to be thinking about prevention, right? Because
Yes.
why do we want to get to the point where we're so far gone that, reversing it is going to be so much more difficult? We should be trying to treat things along the way as maybe function starts to diminish. Would you
Yeah.
want to say something?
Prevention. Yeah, absolutely. Prevention is key. It's just so much easier to maintain. Just like muscle loss with aging, it's the same thing, right? If you want to maintain your muscle mass, it's so much easier to just go to the gym like once or twice a week, lift something heavy. Just it's not that hard. But if you just let it happen and you end up losing muscle, gaining muscle back as you get older, it's actually harder. And so prevention is key when it comes to medicine in general, and it's especially key when it comes to erections.
So let's talk about muscles, because the penis is composed of some muscles, right? There's lots of blood
Mhm.
flow. There's lots of you know capillaries and arteries and veins, all of that. We want the blood to flow to the penis, right? But also it's composed of smooth muscles, right? And so smooth muscles are not the same as a muscle that you can go to the gym and lift weights, right? The smooth muscles like your heart, they just work automatically when you need them to. But if you're not using them all of the time, those muscles can atrophy and you can get something called penile shrinkage, or for women, similarly, we can get vaginal atrophy. So let's talk about penile shrinkage and with age, and how can we avoid this?
Yeah, so that's something that most men don't know, but I think it's very important that people talk about. So I'm glad you brought it up. So penile shrinkage happens to literally everyone. By the time men are 60 years old, they can lose up to 20% of their penis size, which is crazy. Any man who hears about it is just blown away by it because it's a lot. 20% is a lot, especially given the fact that men do care about size, especially length. When you ask women if they care about size, they usually care more about girth rather than length. But guys measure their ego, I'm sorry, their penis, with length. And so, yeah, the possibility of losing up to 20% is a lot. So the kind of things you can do to avoid it, and again, prevention is key because it's much easier to maintain your length rather than rebuild it. Is the penis is, I use it or lose it, kind of organ, right? Just like everything else with your body.
Yeah.
If you don't if you don't run, you lose muscles everywhere. It's the same thing. So have sex often. If you need to masturbate, do whatever you need to do to keep it going. One more thing that is important. It's sort of unrelated to loss of mass or loss of size, but I'm not sure if you're aware. Uh, ejaculating 21 times or more per month is associated with like half the cancer rate, prostate cancer rate.
Prostate cancer,
Um,
yes, absolutely.
yes. So it's just important to keep, doing an oil change, let's call it. Um, it's just you need to get rid of old fluid and get some new fluid, basically. And so, it's important to stay sexually active. It's important to just keep exercising those muscles. You mentioned smooth muscles. It's not just the penis itself, it's also what we use to kind of lock in the erection in place. So the penis gets bigger from blood flow, and then there is some sort of locking mechanism that those muscles are helping with. And that is the number one cause of erectile dysfunction, where people can get an erection, but it just kind of goes down. They can maintain one, and so that's called venous leak. It's very common. The quickest way to fix it immediately would be a constrictor ring or cock ring. I'm sure you've heard of those.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so that's the easiest way to treat it immediately, but that won't really fix it, right? That's just a treatment if you need something immediate. Um, yeah, so that's one thing. Again, stay sexually active, practice the whole function of getting erect, right? Getting erect, staying erect, ejaculating. That's how it works with the body. You have to use the functionality to maintain it. Penis pumps are very helpful with with that because they bring blood flow to the penis. So think about someone who's sexually active. Like the average person probably has what sex twice a week, let's say, right? If they're in a long-term relationship, hopefully more. The more the better. But even if they are sexually active, the average, your penis is still in a flaccid state most of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so it gets very little blood flow. That and your feet get the least amount of blood flow out of everywhere in your body. And so even if you're somewhat sexually active on average or even slightly above average, you just don't get blood flow enough times. We do get nocturnal erections at night, which serves like an exercise that we're not even aware we're having. All we know is that we get morning woods in the morning. But yeah, we do get some erections obviously at night, and that But it's just not enough because most of the time the penis is in a flaccid state. And so a penis pump is a great way to just get the blood flow to the penis and keep it there for 10 minutes. It's a great exercise for that reason.
Absolutely. And you mentioned masturbation and you mentioned 21 times. I thought that it was 22 times. And this is actually something homework that I give my patients as well.
Right.
Masturbate at least 22 times per month. And that's in addition to any sexual activity that you have. And I do like to encourage people to continue a solo sex practice even when they are in a relationship, because a lot of times people will get into a relationship and then suddenly they won't be masturbating anymore because they're just relying on the sexual activity from their relationship. You should continue to have a personal sexual relationship with yourself. And one of the great reasons why is to, continue to hone that function and to keep that function going. And if, we're, masturbating 22 times or more per month, we're making sure that we have that decrease in prostate cancer susceptibility, right? And so it's definitely a great reason to want to masturbate on a regular basis. And then also, encouraging holding that blood in the penis for a certain amount of time. And edging is something that I also talk a lot about with my clients, especially ones that experience premature ejaculation. And
Yes.
premature ejaculation goes hand in hand with erectile dysfunction. Do you want to just touch upon that?
Yeah, sure. So it's one of the most common, issues that men are having. So in general, even if someone doesn't have any of those issues, they want to be bigger, they want to have harder erections, and they want to last longer. And it almost doesn't matter how big they are or how long they already last. Men just like the idea of being bigger and lasting longer. Um, so yeah, we have pump users who are small, we have pump users who are big, and they just want to be bigger. Same thing with premature ejaculation. This is a very similar situation to erectile dysfunction. The way doctors look at that is if you can last 2 minutes, like you're good. It's like, really? 2 minutes? Like, are you sure? Like,
No,
if
us
we have
women are
sex,
protesting on the 2 minute thing. No.
yes, exactly. So I think that the healthy way to look at it is, of course, within reason, right? Can you satisfy your partner? Sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. It depends on the partner. It depends on what you both do. Of course, penetration is not everything, obviously. Um, but yeah, I just think just the way the medical establishment looks at it is it's almost funny. It's just so unsexy and so far-fetched from what sexuality is. Yeah, so there are devices that can teach men how to last longer. It really works through education more than anything, like paying attention to what muscles contract, for example, during orgasms, and learning to control and relax those muscles before orgasm can help. So there are things out there. I think edging is a great way of learning to last longer because you literally practice how to last longer. What's better than
Exactly.
that? Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think those are great ways of learning to last longer. And yeah, there are a lot of similarities between erectile dysfunction or erection health and premature ejaculation. Um, from the medical aspect. And I
Yes.
really I like your solutions.
Yeah, and premature ejaculation is technically, like, the definition of it is, if you ejaculate before 2 minutes, right? And that's why you mentioned the 2 minutes. And it's like,
Yeah.
2 minutes, is that the standard? I don't think so, because if we're talking about like really satisfying your partner and satisfying
Yeah.
yourself, who wants 2 minutes of sex? Like, that's just not enough. For
Right.
a woman needs 20 to 25 minutes just to be prepared for
Warm
penetration.
up.
So, 2 minutes is like, no, we're not even like close to being satisfied or ready to like be done with it at that point, right? And so I love
Mhm.
that philosophy. And also you working like naturally, without the pills, and also without like the fillers and the Botox, because I've had several doctors reach out to me that do these sorts of like penile enhancement procedures where they put fillers and they do surgical, procedures, etc. And in extreme circumstances, like if you have a spinal cord injury and you are not able to have sex and you want to, or you've had some kind of neurological, trauma where you're not able to get hard, but you want to be able to have sex, I can understand why you would want to have, something that pumps you up and makes you hard so that you can actually enjoy sex. Yes, there are reasons to have a procedure like that, but not everybody should be having this procedure, right? And unfortunately, we are sometimes dictated by what our insurances cover. And so that is very frustrating, especially on the women's side, because there are so many things that our insurances don't cover on the women's side, which is a whole nother episode. We won't go into that today. But I appreciate that you are looking at things in a more natural way, right? And so I want to talk a little bit about nutrition, because I know that for me, one of the things that I like to talk to my patients about is nutrition, what they're eating, what their cholesterol levels are, right? We do talk about if they have high cholesterol or high blood pressure, that they should see their cardiologist before, in addition to getting treatment with me, because I want to make sure that my patients are going to be healthy and good to move forward. So what other nutritional things do you recommend for your clients?
So there are foods that are great for blood flow, things like nuts for L-arginine, or watermelon for L-citrulline. You can either have those kind of foods. You could take supplements. That works too, especially if you're deficient in those nutrients. So it may worth giving it a shot. But definitely eating healthy in general is again, erection health is a big part of your overall health. And so when you have blood flow issues, the penis is very sensitive. The erection mechanism is very sensitive to blood flow issues. And so if someone has a small problem, it will be exaggerated with the erection health, right? The erection performance. And so I think it's very important to eat healthy. I would just give the general guidelines, avoid sugars, eat a good healthy diet with, healthy fats, proteins, get your carbs from veggies and real stuff. Just if it comes in a bag, just try to avoid it, I would say. As a general rule, it's not, you could find healthy things in a bag, but as a general rule, I prefer to stick with the real stuff.
The whole
Um,
foods, right?
yes, absolutely, whole foods. Yeah. I'm someone who, I'm a carnivore. I do like meat and chicken, but don't overdo it. That's another thing, because it does lead to higher cholesterol. But I think it's also important knowing that cholesterol is, it's been an issue for a long time, at least the way it's presented. But you do see more and more articles and studies that are showing that it's not as of a big deal as it used to be thought as, right? Um, yeah, I think cholesterol is something that is there to really coat your arteries whenever there's damage. That damage is usually done from sugars. So I think it's better to not get to that point as opposed to, just eat healthy in general and prevent having high cholesterol as opposed to, having the issue and then having to take medications.
Right. And if you do have high cholesterol, or if you do have a heart condition, or that you have a high blood pressure, that can be reduced or even eliminated with your
Yes.
diet, right? With
Yeah.
what you put into your body. And so eating
Hmm.
whole foods, meaning fresh fruits and vegetables. Try not to eat packaged
Yeah.
foods that have a lot of chemicals and added sugars that you don't even know are there. Try to avoid simple sugars, right? And only try to eat complex carbohydrates. I love that you mentioned watermelon, because I always talk about the watermelon challenge that I like to
Okay.
encourage my clients to do. And basically, watermelon does have a natural chemical in it called citrulline, which does
Hmm.
increase blood flow, right? So if you have
Yeah.
4 cups of red watermelon per day, and you do that for a week, you are going to see a big difference in your erectile function. So people out there listening, I encourage you to try the watermelon challenge and then reach out to me and let me know how it went. Now, there is something called yellow watermelon that is hard to find, actually. And we have been on a quest for it in my
Okay, where do
house.
you get it?
And so yesterday we finally found it, and I had never seen it before, but I talk about it all the time because I know everybody, has different places where they can get fresh fruits and etc. I found it at Sprouts. Sprouts is a grocery store that has, it has like a nice produce section, and they had the mini watermelons that were yellow. So we were able to get a couple of those to try out. And I tried it this morning. It tastes a little bit like watermelon, not exactly like watermelon, but it has 4 times the amount of citrulline, which is what's
Wow,
wonderful
okay.
about it. Yeah. So all you need is a cup of the yellow watermelon as opposed to 4 cups of the red watermelon for a week. So you can try that if you find the yellow watermelon and try that watermelon challenge. It really is something that can help you with your blood flow to your penis and your body in general. And then another thing that I like to recommend too, that's sort of like an easy button for people, especially people that don't eat
Mhm.
fruits and vegetables, is something called Juice Plus. And it is encapsulated produce. It's basically, there's 3 formulations. One is fruit, one is vegetable, and one is berries. And each one gives you the nutrition of 10 fruits and vegetables. They just basically desiccate the fruits and vegetables and put
Mhm.
them in capsule form. So this is an easy button to get 30 fruits and vegetables into your body every single day. And so I love to recommend that product as well, because a lot of times people do not eat fruits and vegetables. And unfortunately, in our country, in this
Mhm.
country, in the United States, we have very terrible diets, unfortunately. And so we have a very big, obesity epidemic. And it's not even just about the obesity, right? It's about like the nutrition that we're giving ourselves. We are very high in calories and very deficient in nutrition. We need to eat more nutritious food as opposed to more calories. So those are a couple of things that I like to recommend to my clients.
Yeah.
So let's move on to another question, and then we're going to wrap it up because I have a feeling that this is going to be an extra long episode, and so I've decided that we are going to actually extend this episode into a 2-part series so that we can really dive deep into all of the questions that I want to ask you today.
Great.
So, tell me what the male enhancement industry gets wrong and what solutions actually work. And I know we've covered this a little bit, but I want to just make sure that we get to that question and cover all of the bases in terms of what we're doing wrong and what we should be doing to get it right.
Sure, yeah. So the male enhancement industry is actually just it's not great to put, to say the least. Um, as a man, I get so many emails from it's spam. Let's call it what it is. Spam emails that make ridiculous promises like take this pill for 3 days and you'll gain 4 inches. And all I can think is like, really? Does anyone really believe that? And unfortunately, it makes it hard for legitimate solutions or legitimate products to really to gain trust because no one believes anything, right? And I don't blame people, if I'm being honest. If I was bombarded with those emails, and I am to some degree, I wouldn't believe anything either. I just happen to have tried so many products out there, and so I know that some products work and some products don't. Um, so the most effective products would be penis pumps and extenders. Supplements could really help, but they work well with something else in conjunction, right? Think of the word supplement. They're great as supplementation to something else. So, for example, taking L-arginine or L-citrulline in a pill form, or eating watermelon, um, you'd get more results or better results if you combine it with a pump, right?
Absolutely. Could
Um,
we talk about, because you've brought it up a couple of times, and we've talked a little bit more about the penis pumps, but we haven't talked about the extenders. Can we talk a little bit about that? I'd love to know your take on using extenders and sort of explain it to people that maybe have never seen one or understand what they are.
Yeah, so extenders essentially keep the penis in a stretch state for a long period of time. So think of it like if you just get out of the shower and you just stretch your penis, it's kind of like that, but it keeps the penis stretched for hours at a time. Now you do have to take breaks. Um, and what that causes, it just causes mitosis. It basically stretches your cells, and over time, those cells just split. And so you actually get a longer penis from it. But it is recommended to wear it for hours a day if you want to see results. The very minimum you have to wear it for is half an hour. If you want to wear it for longer, you can, but you have to take breaks. Um, the the best way to do it is take breaks every half an hour. So wear it for half an hour and then don't wear it for half an hour and so on. You can do many sessions. I personally, so before I became the CEO of the Dr. Jill Kaplan company, I was a software engineer. And so I actually wore an extender in the office with other people around me because it's something that can be discreet if you get the right one. And our extender is discreet. Um, so I would just wear it under my pants every half hour. Just go to the bathroom, take it off, go back to my computer and program. Because you do sit a lot in front of the computer. So I might as well use this time to enhance myself. So yeah, they work amazing actually.
Okay, interesting. And what's the comfort level on something like that? Because I would think that it would actually be uncomfortable. It's like anything else, right? If you're
Mhm.
um like your muscle, if you're making your muscle like work hard, it's going to get bigger, right? And so if you're pulling on your penis, it's actually going to get longer, right? And so
Mhm.
it's an
Yeah.
interesting concept, and it reminds me of this like National Geographic article that I saw like many, many years ago, where this man in Africa would like lift some weights, like these blocks or something, but like with his penis, and I was like, oh my God, like that could totally break him in half. But no, I mean, he was like strong and he would lift it, and I was like, oh my goodness. That's like the image that I get, right? So
Yeah.
tell me
And
like
I
a
get
little
that.
bit more about what it looks like, how it works, etc.
Yeah, I wish I had one with me here. I expected to talk more about pumps and extenders, but yeah, I would love to send you a picture when we're done. But yeah, men have been doing stuff like that for a very long time. There were like monks or people who like used to do this as like for living, basically. They used to um, take it very seriously, and what you saw on National Geographic came after a very long time of practice, right? It's not
Yes.
like he just started lifting blocks on day one. They do this for decades, and it works amazing for length. Yeah, so extenders today. So there are things. There are weights for the penis. I don't really recommend using them, not because they're not effective, but because the stretch the stretch is less controlled in a sense that if you move around, for example, and your penis moves around, it can increase the traction, it can increase the stretch. And that's something that could be dangerous if you stretch too much. You can rip something.
Right, right.
And so I think when it comes to male enhancement, there is a fine line. You really want to find the balance between getting the most results, but also not hurting yourself, because if you hurt yourself, it's not worth it, right? No one wants to lose
No.
their penis or cause injury. And so,
Plus, you
yeah.
can't use
So
it if it's injured, right? Just like an injured
yes,
leg, you can't use the
exactly.
leg. We want to make sure
Yes.
that we stay functional, right? And so we want to make sure
Yeah.
that we're doing things that are not going to injure us, right? And
Yeah.
so yeah, I would love to have a picture of that,
Yeah.
extender, because I am not really that familiar with extenders. And I think that if it's something that can actually enhance the length, which, like you said, a lot of men feel like this is, where they get their confidence from. It's
Hmm.
important to help them to get to that point. Also, I want to mention too here that losing weight, if you're overweight, can also make your penis grow. Why? Because oftentimes the fatty tissue is around the base of the penis. And so it gets hidden. The penis gets hidden within the fat, right? And so if you've had a dramatic weight loss, you will notice that, whoa, suddenly you have a bigger penis than you did before. And that's just because you've lost some weight, right? And so that is another way to grow your penis very easily while getting healthier. So I just want to end it on that. We are going to get into part 2, which is going to be really fun. We have a really great role play coming up. So I'm super excited about jumping into that with you on the other side of this this podcast. So be sure that you stick around with us. I'm going to have Sam on here for part 2 of this episode next time. Okay?
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Until next time.
Until next time.
Are you looking for a sexy date? Look no further than SDC.com. SDC.com is the premier ethically non-monogamous website that is worldwide. It also hosts a wealth of information on sexuality and sexual health, and I host a free live webinar monthly on the site. You can use code 37340 for a free trial membership on me. And be sure to reach out on the site and say hello.